Okay, hello boys and girls. We are in week 2.4. Today is October 26th, 2020. We started off our day. Of course, Mondays we're always writing our spelling words in our writing part of our journal. So again, this is our writing/grammar part of our journal. It should be right next to your common and proper nouns notes from last week. So here are our words. We have increase, yesterday, acquaint, achievement, reproach, marrow, virtue, continue, betray, array, campaign, revenue, meadow, deceive, appeal, agreement, streamline, proceed, remainder, and straight. So these are words that have vowel digraphs. They have vowel teams, which means they have two vowels right next to one another. That's why we highlighted them. They're in increase, we see EA. We see EA in meadow, in appeal, and in streamline. So please go ahead and highlight your vowel digraphs. This is going to help you for your homework for today, which is pattern highlights. Yesterday we see the AY, even though Y, remember sometimes Y is a vowel, acts like a vowel. Betray, array. For acquaint, we have the AI in there. Campaign, we have the AI. Remainder and straight. And so forth. We have virtue with the UE, continue, and revenue. So this is just an example of how your pattern highlights should look like for today. Make sure you write the vowel team at the top and then your words that have that same vowel pattern. So we have virtue, continue, and revenue, and you would do that with the rest of the words for this week. Again, under 2.4 in your Google Classroom, in your ELA, I should say, in your English Language Arts Google Classroom, you should be finding your spelling words, or in page 145 of MyView 4.1. Today we also did some nouns, some possessive nouns notes. This is a possessive noun shows that a person or thing owns or has something. Owns or has something. So possessive, to show something belongs to a person or thing. Noun, a word that names a person, place, thing, or idea. So it's pretty simple. We use an apostrophe to show what belongs. So for example, for singular, we have the person or thing, which is Sam, and then we have our noun, which is book. The book belongs to Sam, so it's Sam's book. Again with turtle, the shell belongs to the turtle, so it's the turtle's shell. Pages belong to Charlie, it's the Charlie's pages. Computers belong to the school, they're school's computers, the school's computers. Now we have some plurals like dogs, girls, birds, and men's. So the bones belong to the dogs, to all of the dogs. So it's the dog's bones. The apostrophe goes after the S. Same thing. Many girls have dolls, so the dolls, belong to the girls. So they're the girls' dolls. The apostrophe goes after the S. Same thing with birds. The birds and the chicks, it's the birds' chicks and men's socks. So again, those were notes for possessive nouns. Okay. So we also, after our star stem questions from last week, we have our informational text anchor chart that we cut out from page 119. It's from our Life at the Top selection for this week. It's MyView 4.1. Okay, so make sure you go ahead and cut and paste that. This is just, again, the purpose of informational text is to inform or explain. Some of the text features we'll find are pronunciation guides, and we see that a lot in our My World book. We see bold-faced words as well. We see headings, right? We've been seeing that a lot in our Science Fusion and My World books because they're both informational types of text. They're giving us information. Visual elements, we have photographs and illustrations. We have diagrams. We have charts, tables, and graphs, and we have maps. So make sure you cut and paste that. And then we started our picture walk for life at the top. Page 121 of My View 4.1. We made our prediction. I predict this will be about life at the top of mountains because, of course, we see the picture of mountains and we see our title of life at the top. If we go on to the next page, we have our photo 1. Make sure you do that. We have our subheading here. We have captions that tell us what's going on in the photos. We have a map and we have a close-up magnification of that map. Okay, we have another photo right here. It shows us the location where this is taking place. We see compass. We see labeled, right? We see the labeled bodies of water in a map. Again, we go on to the next one. We see runners. We see another caption describing what's going on with these runners, with these athletes. Same thing on page 126. Make sure you're labeling, doing your captions. We have our subheadings. You need to analyze or observe at least the text features that we see here when we're doing the picture walk. Photo 6, woman running in mountainous area. We have our sidebar. Sidebar. We see extra information here. There's extra information. It's not really a caption, but they're text boxes. They're sidebars. 131, photo 7, again with the caption. 133, we have two photos here actually. Photo 8 with the marathon race at the top. Photo 9 with the runner Mary Keitany. As we see there is the caption. And then finally 135, we see our last photo with Edna Kiplagat. Okay, so that's what we did, our picture walk for the story this week. We moved on to lines of symmetry. I'm sorry, excuse me, this was last week. We moved on to relating decimals to fractions. There are some videos on the Google Classroom if you would like to watch for those that missed out on today. Relating decimals to fractions, make sure you write that down. And again, this is just your title page to introduce the topic for this week. We move on. How do fractions relate to decimals? Fractions and decimals are both ways to represent or show parts of a whole. Okay, so we're continuing with something that we had introduced last 6 weeks, which was decimals, okay? And maybe even earlier, the second 6 weeks. Okay, so a fraction 3 out of 10 converts into 3/10. 3 out of 100 converts into 300ths. That's how we say it in the decimal form. 35 out of 100 or 35 hundredths. And we have our modeling here and our number line. Okay, this was our last page of notes. Again, we have our place value chart for our decimals. 1 and 28 hundredths. 9/6. This is how we would write them in fraction form. We do notice that there are 2 digits to the right of the decimal, so that means 2 zeros. It's in the hundredths place. Same thing with this 9/100. 2 places to the left of the decimal, 2 zeros. That means it's 100. 9 out of 100. 1 place to the left of the decimal, 1 0. That means it's a 10th. 6 out of 10. Okay, so that was our notes. Then we went on to page, I believe it's 95 and 96 for our homework. This is our basic facts. We did A through D together. Again, these are just fact families. This is something that we've done in the past. So make sure you do page 95 and 96, which is on the back of that page. Okay, after that, we started off our lesson on science. What are some forms of energy? So we read, make sure you read What is Energy, page 172, and we stopped at 174 under Get Moving. We started talking about the different types of energy, kinetic, potential, and mechanical. I'll try to post some videos up about that later on this week on the Google Classroom. And then for social studies, again, there are some videos. This is actually last week's lesson. We're 1 week behind, but I really did want to go over this. Again, we did 140 last week, and make sure you read 142 and 143. We stopped there, and we got to read 144 as well. It's always good to do our annotations on here as well. We see photos and we see captions. Again, this is another type of informational text. This entire workbook is a type of informational text. Okay, and we'll continue tomorrow. And I believe that was it, boys and girls. I will see you all tomorrow. Text me if you have any questions.